Happy New Year!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say that I want it. I like nothing has changed, so it's just like, oh, here
It still
we go
feels like
again.
2020.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
We're in the same place as we were before.
Yeah.
Just a month later.
Yeah.
So it's just time, is all. But what's new?
Yeah, like 2 days into break, like Alberta and Manitoba, they both like postponed coming back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere except for Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
Even universities.
Yeah.
Like everywhere, even in Saskatchewan, like a lot of my friends who are in university, they're like, oh, well, I'm not starting till the 17th. And I'm like, what am I doing at school then? Like, oh boy.
I don't have to worry about that, but
Yeah.
would you rather be like online all the time again?
No. I don't know. Like I was talking about it with a lot of people today because there's obviously been talk of like, are we gonna get shut down again because numbers are so high, and since everywhere else in the whole world apparently is like postponing, you know, as we're not, that we might go back online. And I mean, like, being at school kind of sucks sometimes, but I'd rather be at school than be online. But I'm also just kind of done with COVID in general. Like, I'm so over it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't, like...
I think that's where everybody is.
Yeah. Like, everyone just shares mutual frustration, and, like, no one wants to talk about it anymore. It's, like, so old. Like, oh, COVID cases are rising. Oh, a new, like, variant. Oh, more, like, or different, like, rules every 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
It's, like... Although Saskatchewan, like, in Regina, we've done pretty good at keeping it consistent. Like, we haven't, like, in terms of, like, masks and, like, capacity and stuff, we haven't moved around too much, so it's, like...
I don't know if that's a good thing,
I don't know.
but yeah, we haven't, like...
Masks have been consistent, which I'm hoping is kind of helping.
Yeah. Well, they haven't said, oh, well, you can wear a mask, and then you don't have to wear a mask, and then, oh, well, you should wear a mask in these
Yeah.
buildings, and, like, it was for, like, what, 2 months there, or whatever, last year?
Yeah. At least not, like, just always wear a mask and...
Yeah, well, and with the, I guess, the current variant, everybody's just kind of like, well, it's just a flu, so why are we so worried about it? And it's just like,
Yeah.
well, there are still young people that haven't gotten their shot because they were unable to up until recently, and then there's the older generations where it's just like, they're still at risk, so still have to be cautious of that. But then there are people that don't have either of those age groups in their bubble, and they don't care. So
Yeah. It's, I'll have to tell you my whole story on trying to get back into Canada, because that was a whole thing. And it wasn't even my fault. Like, it wasn't even... So I went to Montana, right, for skiing, which is great. It's, like, fairly COVID friendly in terms of, like, travel and stuff, you know, because we, like, drove there, and while we're there, like, mandates kind of went everywhere while we were there. Like, there was different rules up in the air that got changed during our stay there. So, but we always wore masks, and we didn't really go anywhere, like, so we weren't too worried. But even though, but we still had to get a PCR test when we came to get back into Canada. So, the day before we were going to leave, we go down to, like, the base, where there's this little town, and there's a hospital down there, and they have a machine that would give us results in 24 hours. Except that when we got there, they told us that it was broken, and that it was going to take 24 to 72 hours, and we were leaving the next day, so we didn't have 72 hours to possibly wait it out.
yeah.
So we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Because, like, we could physically drive to the border, but we can't get across it. Or at least even if you test positive, you can go across and quarantine at home, but if you don't have a test at all, you just can't cross. So that was not fun. So then we had to drive to the nearest city, which was an hour an hour away. So we drive there, and then we wait in a line for an hour and a half to get this test, PCR test. And then we drove an hour back to the hill. And we kind of just, like, prayed that we would get our results back. So then the next day when we started driving, my mom and I got our results back in the middle of the night. But my sister didn't. Which makes no sense because we got tested at the same time, right? So why would we get ours back and she didn't? So then my mom called the place and they were like, oh, it's in the queue. You'll get your results like later this morning. So we're like, cool, perfect. We're not going to get there till mid-afternoon anyways, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So we drive like 8 hours and we get to this town called Sydney. And it's just like this tiny town. Like there's like nothing there. There wasn't even a Starbucks. I'm just kidding. But we get there and it's about an hour and a half from the border, and that's as far as we can really go. As like if we don't get our results, we have to stay in a hotel, and this is like the nearest place. So we were like, okay, this is great. It's like 3 p.m. here. We were supposed to get her results back in the morning, so something's wrong. So my mom called again while we're sitting in a McDonald's. We sat in that McDonald's for 2 hours. Let me tell you, 2 hours in a McDonald's. And she's like, we were supposed to get our results back. Like, we can't go anywhere. So the lady on the phone is like, okay, well, the person who set up your account did it wrong. So you can't actually access Mila, my sister's, like, results. Mm-hmm. She didn't mess up mine. She messed up my sister's, which is great. So she's like, hey, well, what are we supposed to do? Because, like, you know, like, I need those results. So then they're like, oh, okay, well, we have no other way to, like, send you these except for to fax it to you because, like, technology, am I right, people? Like, they couldn't email it to us. They could fax it. But who the heck has a fax machine? Businesses. In a small town of about 50 people at 6 at night when businesses are all closed for the day during winter break. This is like a few days. This is like the 28th. The 28th. So then we go up to McDonald's and we're like, so do you have a fax machine by any chance? Do you have a fax machine? They're like, no, we don't have a fax machine. So then we go to 2 hotels that are like right beside each other. We go in, no one in there. Not a person in the one hotel. Like, we walk in and there's nobody. And on the desk there's a little note that says, be back soon, helping someone. Helping a customer or helping someone that was in the hotel. We look outside and the parking lot is empty. I'm like, who is in this hotel? Like, there's nobody here. Like, there's no one staying here. So go to the next hotel and they're like, no, we don't have a fax machine. So we're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We need to find one. So we go to the library that closes in like 45 minutes. So we're like, we need to get there. And then we get there, they have a fax machine, it's great. And then they try to print it out, and only 1 page will print. Out of a 2-page document, only 1 page won't print. So they print it like multiple times, and it won't print. So then my mom has to call the place again, and they're like, yo, your fax number didn't work. Please send me one that'll print off both pages. We get them printed off, and it was like heaven on earth. We were in Sydney for like 4 hours. We didn't get home till like 11. It was a time.
That sounds crazy.
It's 2021 and people, like, there's no other way to send us results but through a fax.
Welcome to just about every other business aside from like modern ones.
You could email us my results and my mom's results. You can't email us the other ones? Like, I don't understand. Like, literally give it to a pigeon and fly it over here because it could have been faster. Like, seriously. God.
Like they wouldn't email it.
No, like
That's
like they
ridiculous.
couldn't. Like,
They couldn't have like just scanned the paper and emailed it.
yeah, no, apparently they couldn't. They couldn't do that. And what was even more frustrating was that like we didn't have a direct like phone number to the specific clinic, so we had to like get transferred like 4 times to actually get to even the right person. And just about every time that we called, it was a new person who picked up. So it wasn't even like you could call the same person and just like follow up. It was like you had to explain the situation all over again to a new person every time you called.
Customer service.
I can't. It was so stressful. And it was minus like 50 out, so that didn't help either.
No. It was also like minus 50 here for like
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't miss that.
no. No, and Bessie had a couple problems.
Of course. Of course.
Well, at first it was like the rear defrost not working. So I couldn't like see out of my back window, which was great. And then ever since it got super cold, now traction control and ABS don't work. So it's just like, please service brake assist and please service traction control.
Oh, yeah. Mine does that too.
But then it comes back and then I'll go away in like 20 minutes or like 2 minutes or whatever. Like it varies all the time. So I kind of got fed up with the defrost thing today of being not able to see out the back. And so I emailed my mechanic and he was just like, well, we don't really do that. So you'll have to call this other place. So I haven't emailed them yet. But I was going to email my mechanic and be like, so is there anything that you can do about traction control and ABS not working? But that'll be a tomorrow issue, I guess. But it's just like, it's icy out. Like I kind of need ABS to help like stop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The defrosting, do you not have like vents? Like you have vents, but they're not working?
no, there's no vents in the back. It's just like all the lines.
Oh, I have that too.
Yeah. And apparently there's an issue with my car, of the model anyway, of like a fuse being blown. So I'm hoping it's that, because that'll maybe be like a $50 fix. But if I have to replace the entire back, it's not going to be worth it. Because it'll probably be like $400 or $500.
Just like don't turn your heat on.
But then I can't see out the back.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So there's like no alternative.
Just like don't use your car.
Because that's doable.
Yeah, it is. Walk downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So far, my car has not died. Which is surprising because it was sitting in the garage for like 2 weeks in the cold. So I was like, oh my God, please, for the love of God, just like, start. And then today it was sitting outside in the cold all day at school. And I was like, oh my God, please, please, please. And it actually, my car doesn't have like a plug-in thing.
It's not just like inside the...
No.
Oh, that's
I need
where
to look
mine
again,
was.
but like I'm pretty sure because like my mom looked in it too, and other people have looked in it, and like it's just there isn't one, which doesn't really help.
No.
I mean, so far I haven't had any problems, but like I was a little bit nervous today. Like, oh my God, is it not gonna start if I?
It wasn't even that cold today.
I know.
But like when it's minus 50, that's when you want it to start.
I mean, I guess then if it is that cold, I guess I just go at lunch and I'll just run it for a little bit and make sure it doesn't. I'm gonna completely freeze to death. I don't know. I don't know. This is too much for me.
Yeah. Well, one day, Mike's truck wouldn't start, and so it turned out that he needed a new battery because his was just dead. And then Mom's car has a whole bunch of issues where, I guess it's not a whole bunch, it's like one, but when it's super cold, it's almost like the fuel line will freeze. Or like there'll be like an airlock at the where you fill it up in the tank, and so you can't start it, and then if you leave it for like a half hour, then you can start it again. So she's gotten, in the last 2 years, she's been stuck at 2 different grocery stores over the same issue. And it's just like, maybe you need a new car before I need a new car.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Apparently, the cars don't like the cold.
No. Which is really unfortunate since, you kind of need them just a little. especially in the cold.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that, because our office has been closed for the last 2-3 weeks, so I'm glad that, like, we didn't have to deal with anybody coming to the office and any major issues happening at the condo. But then there were a whole bunch today, and it's just like, but it's really cold out and I don't want to go out.
Yeah.
Even though I had been out like all day shoveling. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, lots of fun in the frozen tundra that we call home.
I was on the ski lift with this, and there were people also on the ski lift. Yeah, thanks, Katarina. Really needed that clarification that there were people on the ski lift too. Wow. So, and it's not it's not uncommon for people to, talk to you, which I don't understand because I don't talk to anybody. Yeah. Okay? So, but there was a guy that started talking to us, and he was like, oh, like, where are you guys from? Do you guys come up here often? You skiing? Like, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, no, we're not from here. We're from Canada. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. You guys have such good skiing. You guys must ski all the time. And it cracks me up every time because everyone says the same thing because they just think of, like, Whistler and they think of Banff and I don't think people understand that, like, that does not equal the rest of Canada that also exists. That, or they'll be like, oh, you're from Toronto. And I'm like, no, I'm not from there either. So it's like, there's only two opposite sides. Not everything else in the middle just, like, doesn't count, apparently. It's like Vancouver and Toronto, and that's about it. Everything else,
yeah.
No, not at all. So they're like, oh, you guys must ski, like, all the time. And we're like, no, except that we're from, like, the flattest province in all of Canada. And they're like, oh, you're from Alberta? And we're like, no, Saskatchewan. He's like, oh, that's even worse. Like, thanks. I mean, you're not wrong, but, like, man, you're from Texas. Like, calm down. Literally, this, like, kills me. And the amount of people that I met that had, like, genuine, like, cowboy accents, just, like, amazing. That people actually talk like that. That's, like, it was so great. 7 cowboy hats. An hour in Montana, and 7 people with cowboy hats. Like, genuinely wearing cowboy hats. It was so weird. Like...
Yeah. I have never been to Montana, but I would like to go to Texas.
Howdy, partner. Yeah.
But, like, I don't, aside from all of the Republicans, I don't think it would be, like, a horrible place to live. Like, it's a giant space. And if you can get, like, some land in the middle of nowhere, it would probably be fine. You then wouldn't have to interact with anybody. And it would be cheaper than living in LA, so.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. But I mean, then there's Colorado, which would be nice too, because then you still get snow.
Yeah.
And you get mountains. But I don't think it gets as cold there as it does here.
Does it get colder anywhere else? Like...
Antarctica?
Yeah. That's about it. We have a one-up on Antarctica, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be helpful if it wouldn't get, like, so cold, but... Oh, well.
This cold spell isn't going away either. Like, it's gonna get colder as the week goes on.
Yeah. But we didn't have, like, a regular winter at the start. It was pretty warm. So I guess that's the trade-off.
I guess so. I guess so.
But I think I'd rather have just, like, a general -15, -20 throughout the entire season than, like, super warm and then ridiculously cold.
Well, yeah, and then at the beginning, too, it was, like, warm, but then it was, like, slushy, and then it would get colder, and then it would freeze, and then it was slushy, and then it would freeze, and it's, like, the conditions, like, how do you dress for that? Like, how
Layers.
do you drive in that either? Like, it's every day. It's like, oh my God. I don't know. I think I like ice more than I like slush.
Why?
Because I spin around more in the slush. I feel like I didn't have as much control in the slush than I do on the ice. Like, at least in the ice, I know how to drive on it. But when I got into the slush, it was like flying everywhere. Got my car so dirty, and then it was
It's like mudding.
exactly. Exactly. I just like can't. It's like no thanks.
I mean, my car's very dirty at the moment. And I think maybe cleaning that would solve some of the problems that I've been having, but it's so cold. How are you supposed to clean it?
Yeah. I don't know. I've thought of like going through a drive-through, but then that's just
Then you
scary.
then you actually have to try and dry it off, which they just have like jets all around that blow air at you, and it's just like, I don't know how to go slow enough to make sure that it dries everything, because then they're still under your car that doesn't get
Yeah.
dried.
And then it freezes, and then you're stuck in the car because the door won't open.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me a few times. Not in my car, but in general, my parents' car. So I also see no point in. I just don't want to go clean my car.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the summer, it's a lot nicer because you can just go through drive-through and drive out the other side and your car's clean. You don't have to worry about freezing. But then when it's winter, then you have to wait for it to be warm for a couple days to make sure that it won't freeze. And it's just
And then
pain
if
in the
it's
ass.
too warm, then it just gets dirty all over again. It's like, well, what's the point? Like, well, no, seriously, because when it's slushy out, it just gets your car out dirty all over again. It's like, well, that was a waste.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah. I don't know what the solution is. Aside from not driving.
Move to Hawaii. That's the solution.
But then wouldn't you have like sand in your car all the time?
I wouldn't even have a car if I was in Hawaii. I would literally just lay on the beach and do nothing. Do online school from the beach. That's what I would do. Like, forget driving.
I mean, we have like 6 months of this
Don't say that.
crap left.
Mm.
We've done 4, but there's only 6 left. Well,
Keep your mouth shut.
just wait for it to be finished.
Well, I know I have finals in like 3 weeks, which is insane.
That sucks.
It does. Well, it's up in the air on whether finals are going to happen, because if it shuts down, then what you gonna do about it? Like, FaceTime me while I do my final to make sure I don't cheat? Like,
No, but they might give you a big final project. That's what we're doing. I don't think they're going to be big final projects. I think it's just going to be like for native studies, I think it's only going to be like, I haven't looked at it, but I think it's just going to be like a research something and then like write an essay or something like that. English, I have no clue what it is. I think it was like essaying essays of something essays or whatever. So it seems like it might be a whole bunch of essays. But I mean, if it's like you pick a topic, we'll give you a topic, and then like if there's 3, then there's something else. That would be fine, because then that's like 3 essays, all of 5 pages. And if I find it hard when you have to pick a topic, because then it's like, well, you have to show where you found the information. But if I'm picking something, it's going to be something I already know about. So
Yeah.
why would I go and find more information that doesn't actually apply to what I'm telling you, just so that I can say, yeah, I researched it. So, yeah. But I mean, aside from essays, I don't know what else they could add in. So long as it's
Yeah.
not like poetry and then you have to be live and read it to the class, I think
Well,
I'm okay.
I already did poetry in French class, so we're good there. But yeah, I don't know. It's also, I don't know how things are going to work if we go online, because at least with the Quinn system, it was set up so that if we went online, you had 2 classes and it kind of like made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go online now, like, I have 5 classes. Like, I don't know how that works. Or at least, like, I guess you could do it, like a normal day, the same hours, because then that would work for teachers too, but...
I mean, even if they don't do, like, the same hours and they can kind of get it to be like, well, we'll be here for an hour, or it'll be like, we'll teach you for a half hour and then the lesson will be recorded and posted here, and you can just, like, read the lesson and work on your own. They might do that, because then you could do it on more or less your own time, but I doubt they'll do that.
Yeah, it's like that for some classes. It really depends on the teacher. But, okay, speaking of classes and doing that, because my math teacher, she's nice, but, like, she often doesn't come on the days when she actually needs to come, like, on the hard lessons and on, like, work periods and stuff like that. She's never here. So, you know, of course, because timing, she's not here today, right? So she posted, and I saw, like, this morning she posted videos on Google Classroom, because the amount of times that you actually get a sub that knows math and knows French, none. Like, I've never had a sub that knows math and French. Like, one time I had a sub that didn't know math, and it was an art teacher, and I'm like, why are you here? You literally don't know anything about, like, she's like, yeah, I dropped out of grade 12 math. I'm like, okay, so I don't know why you're here. Like, you're in a grade 12 math class. You dropped out of grade 12 French.
Yeah.
Or grade 12 math. Like, doesn't make any sense. Anyways, so she'll post videos online, so then we can just sit in class, do the notes, and then it's fine. Except the sub today decided that he's not gonna let that fly. No. So he's like, all of your homework from the previous, like, the other sections, if you haven't finished that, you can't do the new lesson. And of course, who spent Christmas break doing math homework?
Mm-hmm.
No one. So we couldn't actually do the new lesson. So now I have to go home and do the lesson on my own. Why wouldn't I just do it in class? That's literally what the class was for.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you can't start the new lesson unless you finish the other work.
So was it everybody that was behind, or just a couple?
Well,
people?
nobody, like, I mean, my teacher doesn't check our work, so technically you don't have to do it at all. It was just this sub that was like, you have to finish all of your homework or else you can't do the new lesson. I'm like, what? So, of course, like, no one did the new lesson, because guess what? No one actually finished all the work. Because, like, seriously. So,
That was where I was for the entire break, because I'm not as behind as I thought I was. Like, it's just English where I'm, like, super behind, but, like, native studies and financial literacy, I'm, like, a month-ish behind. So I'm not concerned about that. It's just English. And so I was like, okay, well, I should try and get caught up on English over the break. But I also don't want to waste time, so maybe I should just spend a little bit of my time. If I don't want to read, I should just catch up on the other two. So on one hand, that didn't happen, because in my head I was like, well, we're on break, so I mean, meh. But then I also wanted to get a whole bunch of it done, and that didn't happen. So it's like this, we're on break, but now I'm disappointed.
yeah.
But I'm not as behind as I thought I was. But it's still, like, I think they handed out one or two assignments that it was just like, you might want to try this over your break, but it's not mandatory. And I don't know how many people did it. So
I'm behind in psych and in math and in art. Okay, I'm behind a lot. Okay? And I could have done it over the break, but, like, I had no motivation. And I was like, I don't want to burn myself out before I even get back to school, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be behind when I get back. Because I also was doing, like, my theory, and I was supposed to get that done before Christmas break, but then school got super busy, and then I ended up not actually finishing my theory exam, which is online and stuff, but, you know, I still have to actually, like, study for it, like, stuff. So, but I got it done, and now I'm just freaking out because I have so much work to do. And I have a math test on Friday, and I haven't done any of the homework for it. Other than the time I spent today in class doing it, because I couldn't do the new unit. Yeah, so it's
Well, and I know everybody was like, oh, well, it's like grade 9 and grade 11 that they're the hardest. And I'm like, well, 10 and 11, we were like in a COVID bubble.
yeah.
And now 12, they're just kind of like, oh, well, they didn't really learn much the last 2 years, so now I better jam it all in now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you get like half the content that you really need, you know? Yeah, that's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you which year was most difficult because I don't even count 10, 11, or 12 as years. Like, it's just one. It is one entity. Like, we had grade 9 and then
and here we are.
that's it. Nothing else. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess grade 12, was the hardest year. But again, it's like really hard to compare because they were all so different.
Well, 10, we had like a partial year.
Yeah, 10 partial year. And the rest of the year was just nothing. We didn't do anything.
I decided, oh, well, I'm going to like do a bit.
I did a bit too, but like really didn't.
But like they were just like, oh, well, you don't have to do it. Like if you're below a 50, then get your mark up. Otherwise you won't pass. But like if you're
sitting at a 51, you're great.
Yeah, so all of mine were like I think 70s to 90s. So I was like, well, what's the point in continuing?
Yeah.
I mean, for English, sure. Math, whatever. They're still going to go over it again next year. Like they just repeat everything.
Yeah.
Anyway. But then the other classes, I was like, well, I'm probably not going to take them again. So what's the point in continuing doing that?
Yeah.
And so like the second half of grade 10 was just like, oh, well, everybody gets sent home one day. And I remember that day. And I remember sitting in drafting and everybody was like, well, what's happening? And the teacher was just like, oh, we haven't gotten any word yet. So I was texting with my mom and I was just like, so have you heard anything? And she was like, no, not really. It's still up in the air. And I was like, what are the chances of you just letting me like go home now? And she was like, well, I mean, if you guys aren't really doing anything, then maybe there's not a point in staying. But she was just like, if they want people to stay just because whatever, then you can come home.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do anything. But like if they're still going to keep you there for another day, then you just stay. So it was just like at lunch, it was like, okay, you can go home or you can stay here. So I was like, see ya.
Yeah.
And then here we are like 2 years later and it's just like
insane.
Yay.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, it's like this, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So
I feel
it's
like
just
all of the New Year's resolutions you can't even like do. You know, like really, because like I feel like you're not really living life anymore. Like at least I feel like I'm not like fully living life.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Definitely thought I was gonna die there for a second.
But like all the ones that are just like, oh well, I want to like get fit, and I'm just like, well, that'll last a month. And then
hello cake. Not happening.
Because it's not sustainable. I mean, everybody's like, oh well, I'm gonna go to the gym 5 days of the week, and it's just like, okay, but you're gonna get bored of that after a while, or there'll be a day where you come home and you're just like, oh, I don't have the energy, and then it's not gonna happen. And then it'll be like this next day and it's like, oh well, I'm still tired, I don't want to go again.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like mad. But I mean, the ones where it's like, oh well, I want to travel to these couple different places or whatever, those are a little more realistic because it's like something that is actually going to happen, possibly.
The problem with that is that you can't really like travel all that much, or at least it's like really up in the air whether you can travel and stuff. Like I want to travel, but like I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, my mom and I were talking about it the other day, and we are just like, because my version of vacation, I wouldn't travel and just go stay at a hostel, but like my version of a vacation traveling would be like spare no expense. You go, you stay at whatever resort. You should have enough money that if you want to go do something that you didn't plan in your like trip plan, then it's like, oh well, maybe that's not such a. It's not gonna take a day away from me or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I wouldn't want to go stay in a hotel because then there's a whole bunch of people. Like I would want to either go stay at a cabin somewhere or
like at a resort.
yeah, or like an Airbnb where there's like not other people around. Because my family's always like, oh well, we'll just go like stay in a hotel and go do whatever around the city, and I'm just like, but there's a hotel and a family of 5 cramming into 2 beds and a cot isn't very comfortable. So it's just like either we need to find like a Airbnb that's a house, or we need to find like 2 hotel rooms. And I remember when my dad had taken us to the West Edmonton Mall, it was like a giant room. So they had like a couch and a bed and then a bunk bed, and then there was the table that turned into a bed. So they had lots, and it was like a massive room. So it was like, it's not like everybody's crammed into like 2 beds.
Yeah.
But not my version of like travel vacationing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Sleeping in the same room with your family is like a whole other deal in itself. Like, if you take out like wherever you're actually going, like just traveling with your family and having to stay in a hotel is a nightmare sometimes.
yeah, you only have one sibling though.
Yeah, I only have one sibling, but she acts like she's 4 different siblings. Like, that's how many mood changes she goes through. Like, swear on my life.
Well, 1 minute Terrace will be like super happy, and then the next you ask him like, oh well, could you like even to get this, which is not even clean, but just to get it to this state, it was just like he pushed back just about every single point of the way, and I was like, because he usually sits there and he's on Minecraft on his phone and watching something on the TV, and I was like, you can even watch TV while you tidy, and even that he was like, well no, I just want to watch. Okay, well, you made the giant mess, so you can help clean it up.
Yeah.
So he'll go from like super happy and in your room talking to you about, oh well, I want to do this in Minecraft and blah blah blah, and then like 20 minutes later you'll come out and you'll ask him if you want to come play a game, and he'll be like, no.
No. Yeah.
But yeah.
Siblings are fun.
Very fun. What is your definition of fun?
Well, that was my sarcastic fun, and it's not very fun. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had some not great experiences trying to live with my family. So at least when you're in a house, I can just lock myself in my room and I'm good. You know? I don't have to, like, worry about it. But when you're in a hotel room, you have, like, absolutely no privacy whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like,
And I remember I don't remember where we were going. Maybe this was our trip to Medicine Hat, but like the hotel had a barn door for the bathroom.
oh, love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be like, okay, well, you guys go have brunch. Like, I need my bathroom time. Otherwise, the day's not gonna happen. So it's just like, well, you guys go have brunch. I'll meet you down there. Because, one, I don't trust them to not like just open the door and come wash their hands or something like that.
Yeah.
And 2, it's just like, I need some chill time.
Yeah.
You can't get that in a hotel room.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even if we were gonna like rent a trailer and go camping for a week, I'd be like, yeah, I want a tent. I don't want to stay in the same spot as you.
Yeah.
And I will even drive myself there. So, yeah. But, oh well.
Could be worse.
That's true.
I have, like, a lot of respect for people who, like, share rooms with their siblings. 'Cause it could not be me. Could not be me. Like, people who actually manage to share rooms with their siblings and actually still have good relationships with them, and their room hasn't exploded. Like, you might as well just call yourself God because, like, that is something that I could never do.
Yeah, well, Taya and I share like a wall.
Yeah.
Not a very thick wall, and there's a door in that wall. So, I mean, you can just open the door and just kind of. You can't walk in because I've got my bed in it and she's got something jammed there too.
Yeah.
But, like, you can just open it up and have a conversation. It's just like, I don't want the wall anymore. Or the door.
Yeah.
And the only reason we put it there was so that you could get out in case of a fire. Because if there's a fire that's all over here, and I have to try and get out and up the stairs, it's just like, it would be so much easier just to, like, go through the other door and right up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, yeah, I want a solid wall that has, like, a whole bunch of soundproofing in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, Mila's room is right under mine. And, I can hear her when she's in her room. And especially, like, back in, like, 2020, when COVID first started and she started FaceTiming her cousin a lot, or I guess our cousin, at, like, 3 in the morning, I was not a happy camper. Not at all. And then my mom would wake up at 5 and start grinding beans for coffee. Not a happy camper either. So, you know, it's not great.
You just need to have, like, some cushy noise-canceling earmuffs.
Yeah.
That just, like, deaden everything with white noise.
I don't like white noise, but
Music, then.
yeah, music. Like, death metal. Yeah. Super relaxing. Super relaxing. It just puts me to sleep right away. You know?
No, but sure.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, no. My room is not in the most convenient spot, but also I wouldn't want it to be anywhere else, so. Whatever.
You wouldn't want to take over your sister's room?
No. No, I wouldn't want to live in a basement. My room's already in my basement in my dad's house, so.
Your sister's room is, like, gigantinormous.
Yeah, I know. It's gigantinormous. She literally had friends over, and she took her mattress off her bed and put it in, like, the main living areas, because we have a blow-up mattress, or actually we have a few, so then you can put them against the wall, like, move the couch out, like, so that you can be kind of like, you can sleep with your friends, I guess, because, you know, when you have a sleepover, you don't really want to sleep in your own room while your friends sleep in the other room, you know, but, she has, like, her own bed. That was just, like, she has a queen bed for herself, and all her friends have to sleep on the blow-up mattresses, and she sleeps by herself, and I was like, what kind of a host are you? You're sleeping by yourself on your own mattress, and your friends have to sleep on the blow-up ones?
When I would have sleepovers, people would just sleep on couches, and I would sleep in my room.
Yeah, that's so fun. We love that.
Well, because, I mean, when you're sleeping, you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's true, but okay, I guess you don't have my friend. We would, like, stay up late and play Minecraft or.
Oh no, we would stay up late, but then when we were like, oh, well, we're gonna go to bed, it was just like, you be out here and I'll be in there.
Anyways, apparently the main reason why she didn't let anyone sleep on her bed was that she kicks and snuggles up against you, and she, like, never cuts her nails, so it's like Wolverine in bed, and not in a good way. Like, and I can testify, having slept in the same bed as her many, many times, that is 100% true, and I just get, like, so many flashbacks of so many sleepless nights. Non-sleep. Non-sleep, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, where Tara sleeps now, before we had even done this to the basement, we had a bunk bed, and so Taya was on the top and I was sleeping on the bottom just because I was like, well, I don't really want to get up on the top because, like, smaller bed and then you bonk your head every time you try and get up. And so sharing a room was just like, when can we get done with this?
Yeah.
Because it's just like you have no personal space whatsoever.
No.
But
Yeah, that's why I would never do that. I would never be able to do that.
Yeah. Never again.
Yeah. Nope.
Well, we covered snow and the cold and traveling and siblings.
Yeah, and recap on our school year ish.
The school year that is actually like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Or as we call it, COVID.
Yeah. But like, I would like to go back into the like solitary confinement of like not seeing people every day.
I would do that for like a month, every couple months. You know, like I'd like drain my social battery for like 2 months, and then I'd go into confinement for a month, recharge, and then like I feel like that was perfect for me. But like not confinement for like years. That lost my mind a little. I lost my mind a lot, actually.
But I liked it. Like, there was no obligation to do anything. So for a little while there, I was taking the dogs on like 3 walks a day each. Because I was like, well, I have nothing better to do.
Yeah.
So it was just like...
The peace of mind was nice. Like I can, even if, like, I actually did stuff that I wanted to do that other times, like, I don't have time to do others. Like, you know, that now I wish I could go back and do them because now I don't have I don't have time to do it now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's why I don't understand how, like, people can live, I guess. Because it's like, you work 30, 40 plus hours a week. And then you come home and you've got your laundry and you've got to make meals and then clean up those meals. And anything, like, breaks around your house, then you have to try and schedule somebody to come and fix it, and then you also have to be there with them, and it's just like, how do people do that? I don't understand.
No, I don't. I don't either. Could not be me.
Well, my understanding was that the 40-hour work week was that designed so that like men would go to work and women would stay in the kitchen and basically cook and clean and whatever, which not what I want to happen again, because that's a little ridiculous. But like a lot ridiculous.
A lot ridiculous.
But like if we could cut back to like 20 hours a week of work, because you can still get a lot done in that time. Like it doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. And then maybe have it so that everybody works on a Saturday or something, so you get like 1 full day of rest and whatever. Because then you'd also have time out of your 24 hours a day. If you're working like 4 or 5, you would then have all that extra time that you could deal with the little things that need to happen around the house and whatever. Because if you're making like a breakfast in the morning before you head off to work, then coming home and making lunch, then you've got 2 meals of mess. And then come home and have to make supper, and then you've got all that mess to do. It's just like you almost need a second person to handle it all. Which is where way back when the 40-hour work week made sense. But now that everybody is working 40 hours, it's just like, where is the time to maintain the house here?
Yeah. Or like pay stuff, you know?
Yeah, like even if you work 40 hours a week, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to have enough money to cover everything.
No.
Which is kind of my struggle at the moment of like, I work X hours a week, make so much, yet I still have to pay so much more. And things are still increasing. Like gas went up. Last week it was $1.28.9. Now it's $1.37.9. So it's gone up almost 10 cents in a week.
Yep, that's why I'm never filling up my tank again. And I'm gonna ride this one out till she dies. Can't stop me. Can't start it either, but you know, whatever. Yeah. No, No, it is ridiculous. And, like, minimum wage is not enough to sustain. Like, if you were to work minimum wage, like, you can't pay for an apartment. You can't pay for rent. You can't pay for a phone bill. You can't pay for all of that.
No.
And the only way to not have minimum wage is to go to university, which is how much money and how much time and, like, energy spent in doing that. Yeah. And even that doesn't even guarantee you anything more than a minimum wage job.
No. This is where I'm at, is like, why would I go spend like $20,000 on a degree that doesn't guarantee anything when I could, like, work for myself and build an empire and play the game of Monopoly?
But that's exactly how the world is, like, set up, is that, like...
You have to play the game to win.
Yeah.
Except you also have to spend...
so much money.
Just to play the game.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that, like, going to university is the only option to, like,
No, it's definitely not, but that's definitely, like, the seed ingrained into your brain that that's what you're supposed to do,
yeah.
Right? And as soon as someone says, well, that's not what I'm doing, everyone's like, oh my god, like, what are we gonna do, you know? Yeah. Which now I think that, like, at least people in my class and in my life, like, my age, when people say, oh, I'm, like, not going to university or I'm taking a year off, like, that's not weird to us, right? Because that seems normal, right? Because, you know, you want to have all the options, you want to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
But then suddenly, like, adults or, like, parents hear it and they're like, how dare you disrespect me?
I know.
Okay.
It's just like, oh, well, why do you want to take a break? Because I am burnt out here. Like, I need some time to, like,
figure
build
out
some money.
Not a lot of people, like, not a lot of people know even what they want. And that's okay. I don't understand how at 17 you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do for the next 60 years. Like, or maybe it's okay to, like, not decide what you want to do for the next 60 years, have a minimum wage job, and then go from there, and then see what you like. Like, it doesn't have to be a... Like,
it's not like follow the pipeline.
No.
Which is what everybody is trying to tell you. And slightly off topic, going back to your play the game school tells you have to do this. I made a realization today. The assignment that I was working on was like, do you buy a vehicle or do you lease it? And used or new and insurance and stuff. And so this is financial literacy. And it was in the insurance section, it was talking about how, oh, well, you just have to pay a certain amount each month to your insurance provider and they'll cover you. But it doesn't talk about how if you do get in an accident, your premium will go up and you're going to have to pay more each month, as well as your deductible and all that. It's just like, oh, well, you just pay so much every month. So it's just kind of feeding into that follow the game of, well, you just have to pay for this and they'll give you that and whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, but what's the alternative?
Yeah. Like, the world's not set up to give you an alternative. It's supposed to make it so that you can't choose anything else. And you willingly go into university spending $40,000.
Who willingly goes to university?
Okay, willingly, like, knows that that's how much they have to spend to get a piece of paper to then go out and find a minimum wage job. And yeah, like, obviously, like, people do go up from there and actually have, like, better paying jobs, obviously. Like, not every, but, like, it's not set up easy. No. Like, it's set up so that you struggle a lot before you actually see the end of the road, and that's so stupid. Like, you're gonna have to pay, like, all that money, spend all that time going to university, like, working your butt off, and then, like, there's so much pressure then if you spend that much money that if you don't do good, right? That's like, oh my god, like, I spent so much money on this class, and if I fail it, like, I have to pay for it again. And take it again. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's where my family is at now, is because there is the possibility that I may fail English, and I'm just like, I don't think so. Like, my marks in that class have been 90s, 80s, 90s. And even though I'm so far behind, there's still the potential that I could fail. And they're just like, oh, well, why would you even think about failing? And I'm like, because I'm so far behind and the chance of actually getting caught up is so slim because there's 500 other things going on. So I'm just like, even if I fail that, I might have to pay more, but, like, it's like $200 So not on the same level as like if you fail a
Yeah.
university class where it's like, oh, you have to pay $4,000.
Yeah.
But still, $200-$300. Well, it's not a lot. It's also not like nothing.
Yeah.
So
It really is.
I can see where parents would be concerned with you failing university. But then again, it's also like, okay, but if I can't actually do it, like you only do what you can with like what you've been provided. So if you're doing your best, all you can do is like ask for help and try and get an extension.
Yeah.
But like even in university, I don't think it's set up so that the teachers can, like, if you get behind because you're sick or something, I don't think that they're allowed to give you like an extra 2 months of extension.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because it's like, okay, well, I've already paid all this money. Why can't we get an extension?
Yeah.
But oh well,
Yep. It's
life
Yeah.
sucks.
it's really funny when you actually sit and think about like who the heck decided that? And how did we get here? And why is it still this way? And why is like
Because it's a business.
I know. I know.
That's the only thing that I can come up with to
Yeah,
that question
it
is
is.
it's a business and people want to make money.
Yeah.
So
It is. It's just about the only way to live.
but I mean, if you were going to invest in education, and you just wanted to make money and you didn't actually want to like make a difference, I would say then yeah, invest in how it is now. But if you actually wanted to make a difference, like find a bunch of teachers that are like, oh yeah, we already hate the system, that are willing to like step out and try and make a difference, and then
Yeah.
try and figure out, okay, well, how much money do we need to get you guys paid, and how much are we going to charge people that isn't going to be so much that
Half the population can't even go.
yeah, but also isn't too low that people are going to think it's a joke.
Yeah.
So it would have to be competitive with what universities are charging now, but then again, if you're trying to make a difference, then you have to kind of price it lower. But people will think of, like, if it's just one school, people will think, oh, well, why are you charging so low? Is it because your teachers kind of suck? And it's just like, if you were doing that, it would be like, no, we're trying to like actually change how things work.
Yeah. I think as long as you have like good teachers and you like you sell it in a way that like shows that like, hey, these are actually good teachers and this is what we're trying to do, then I think that genuinely, I think that a lot of people would like, go. I mean,
Yeah.
I would consider it an option, unless it was like on the other side of the world, like,
Yeah.
but then also like there's the whole like idea of a certain school, a certain name on a diploma means more than another name, even if it's the same education, right?
But I don't understand that. Like, why
No,
would
neither
you?
do I.
Why would you want to spend $50,000 to go to this one school when you could spend $10,000 and get it from a different one?
Same thing. Yeah. Which sucks, but I know that most people know that it's all the same.
But then there are those that are like, oh well, it's an Ivy League school.
Those in like higher power, they're like, well, I'm not gonna hire you because you didn't go to like Harvard.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
I guess if that's valuable to you and it's like what your family has engraved in your brain, that like, oh well, you have to go to the school and yes, we will pay for it. Then yeah, why wouldn't you?
But most people would go to where it fits the best, right?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't go to Harvard, like
all of the like Ivy League schools, anything that I have like read or seen in the media is just like, yes, it's probably a good school, but also it's very much set up so that they try and make students fail, was my understanding of all of it, because it's like, oh well, there's so much that has to be done, and they try and make it so that it's to keep their like Ivy League status, they make it so that it's only for like the best of the best.
Yeah.
Which is just like,
which is funny because the best of the best at something doesn't mean that it's the best of the best of everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like how school's set up, like high school now. It's like, it's not meant for everyone.
Yeah.
It's just like not. And university is the same.
Yeah.
Although I think that university is better in terms of like scheduling and stuff, in my opinion. I don't know.
Then what?
Well, then like going to school 5 classes all day, right?
Yeah.
And having just like, okay, Monday from 3 to 5, I have this one class, and then I can actually like I have more freedom with how I can schedule my time.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like that, but
Yeah. My one requirement, like I do plan to take a year, but once I try and go back to, not get a degree, but just some sort of education, is it needs to be flexible, because I am not going to be able to sit in a class for like 4 hours a day at whenever they say, because like something might happen at a property that I need to dash off to. And I can't imagine that any professors would be like, oh yeah, just go. Yeah. Like it'll be like, yeah, one of my tenants is having an issue, like I have to step out, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine they take that well. So I need it to be like, lessons are online. You can contact the teacher, even if they have like a one-on-one session with each student, like once a month or something, just to like check in, which is kind of what I thought Flex Ed would do, is like they'd try and give you like 10 minutes just to kind of be on a call with each student once a month, just to kind of check in and see, hey, do you need any help, and how can we like, do you need to schedule something? But it's really just like you have to go to their daily meetings to get any answers, and that's not, for me, that's not doable, because they're generally around either 11 in the morning when I'm either shoveling snow or just getting ready to leave for work, or it's like 2, 3 in the afternoon when I'm at work. So it's just kind of like, where's the flexibility in that?
Yeah.
And like those meetings aren't recorded either. So if somebody did ask a question that you might have had, you can't go find it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's
I don't know. The system at the moment kind of sucks for in-person and online. And I thought Flex Ed would be different, but not really.
Yeah, I also thought Flex Ed would be different, but
Well, I mean, it was advertised in a way that made it sound like, oh yeah, it'll be so much better than... For me, anyway, it sounded like it was going to be so much better than being in person. And not so.
Well, I mean, it's better than going to school in person, but...
Yes, in that sense. But, like, in other senses, it's just kind of like, really? But... Like, it's not designed for you to be able to get caught up if you're behind, because it's like, oh, well, there's one assignment a week for each class. So I can't imagine how somebody that's got, like, 5 classes and is either working most of the time or is trying to build a business, I can't imagine how they'd fare. But
not very well,
no. No, but then some people have more motivation for school than I do. My motivation isn't school, because it's just like financial literacy. We've learned all this. And then again, they're not teaching you everything. They're like subtracting certain bits to follow the timeline of the world.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, I don't know. But I'm just disappointed because I still have one more English class next semester. And this will be the Hamlet class.
Yeah, I'm doing a French play in French. It's gonna be a time. Definitely. Not because I don't like plays, but because the French is different French than what I know.
Do they call it Old French?
No.
Well, that's what they call Shakespeare's Old English.
Yeah, because it is Old English.
Yeah.
And it's like Shakespeare in French, with the fact that I don't even understand the French at all. Like, at least in English, you can kind of figure it out, you know, but if you don't even know the language, it's like asking me to, like, cook something from an Italian cookbook. Like, Just like literally hand me the craft dinner because I will not be able to do it.
Hey, if it's in a cookbook, at least it has instructions.
Yeah, except I can't read said instructions.
That's fair.
But it's like, well, what am I supposed to do now? So I'm not excited for that. And then I have English next semester, which I guess is like in a month from now. I'll be doing English.
Do you know if it's like...
Well, I chose the one that doesn't have the play in it, that doesn't have the Shakespeare in it, but...
It's A, then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That should be fun. You get to read like 5 books.
Except that I really like reading and writing.
But do you like doing all the reports for it?
Yes, actually. I do. I really like character analysis and stuff. I don't know. I'm like... I'm weird that way, okay? I'm quirky that way, okay? Just leave me alone.
I think I would enjoy reading if they didn't have so many assignments to go along with it, because
It really takes the fun out of reading.
the like one book that we're doing is like read 120 pages, then answer these 50 questions.
Yeah.
There's like 15, but still it's a lot of questions, and
Yeah.
it's just like, what if we just read the book and you just said, oh, well, just give me a summary? Because each student would have a different response to it, because everybody picks up on something different.
Yeah.
So it would still be an analysis, but it wouldn't be in such a tightly formatted way. It would be what students view it as, which to me would be more interesting.
Yeah.
But then there's no like formula for the teachers, I guess. For marking, anyway.
I guess.
But
the joys of school.
I can't wait to be done.
Yep. 6
months.
Oh, that's scary. That's just scary.
I mean, Anna will be 18 in like a month.
I know, right? What? I feel like I just turned 17. So, you know.
It was like, what? 6 months ago? 5? Something like that?
Yeah, 6.
I can't wait to be 18, because then you can like start investing and start building a credit score, whereas like now it's just like you can't do anything. So I don't know what 1 year makes a difference. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
here we are.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this has been quite a podcast. This is great. It was like a new setup, my funky water bottle setup here. Just like, you know, it's been a fun time.
Yeah. Well.
Bye! Well, that's not what you were going to say?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, go on then.
It's gonna be more of a like, thanks for listening to the first episode of 2022.
Hi, Anna. I know you're going to watch this at some point, so, you know. Hi from later Katarina? Past Katarina?
Yes.
Yeah. Past Katarina. I saw you in the hallway today. I waved at you. I made Tegan laugh too. All good things.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks for watching or listening or whatever you do. Thanks for being.
Yeah, thanks for existing. Appreciate it.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.